Thank you very much for joining me on the Voice of Job Seekers. This is Mark, and I'm back. I think the last episode that I had published was an old episode back in late January. And it's been a while, and that's because I've been over at the Job Scam Report podcast and newsletters and been doing videos on job scams. If you want to know more about that, you can visit me at markanthonydyson.substack.com. A lot of you do subscribe to that, so I do thank you. If you're listening and you're brand new, welcome. The Voice of Job Seekers has been around since 2013. In fact, it's coming up on a birthday in September. Well, where it will be 12 years. I'm looking forward to celebrating that one for some odd reason. I may just ignore it, but just to let you know, it's we've been around for 12 years and we've done more than 300 episodes of various types, but this is going to be a special episode. This is the one where we're going to be discussing, first of all, let me give you the background. This is a live one. Did this was on a panel with Lauren Milligan, which if you've been on listening to the podcast for a number of years, Lauren is a good friend of mine. She's been on at least once, maybe twice over the years. But she's a great friend of mine, and we were asked to come to present on a panel at St. Xavier's University here in Chicago. St. Xavier's for me is about 15 minutes from here. James Miller, who's the associate director of the Career Center there on campus, is also a friend of mine, invited the both of us to come and present, just answer questions about job search, to talk about various aspects of job search, such as resumes, networking, talked about job scams. We discussed what it's like to be graduating for 2024, mind you. And that's just a reminder for me to say that this was done last March, a year ago March. So it's been over a year now since we're publishing late in spring here in 2025. But this was something that was really a lot of fun. In fact, we did it twice. With Lauren and I did it twice. And the first time we did it, and this is the second session I think I'm letting you guys hear. This is session number 2. And we discussed basically the same thing, but basically some of the questions the students asked were different. And you'll hear some of that. Again, the panel for this one is James Miller, who's the associate director. You'll hear him moderating and asking questions. Nathan Peck, who's an instructor there at St. Xavier's University. Lauren Milligan, whose company ResuMayDay. She's been doing this a lot longer than I have. When I first was starting out in the career space, she was one of my mentors, and she really helped me a lot. And I remember meeting up with her once because she lives about an hour and a half. We met up and we spent about 4 hours, I think, together. And she really gave me a great perspective. And of course, we've called and we've texted from time to time, and she's been on the show. But I think that people will get a lot out of this session. So I want you to hear it in its entirety. Why just a group of partners were hosts. Like to begin by Marks. Can't introduce yourself. There's nothing I met the career path. People who were disenfranchised from the job provide the first mark first. Since then, I followed the career podcast, The Voice of Job Seekers, little conversation with jobs.
Mark is a prolific thinker in Forbes. Lauren, a career coach who read the owner, instructor at college. She's a welder by hobby. Her points come familiar with her resume development, working in interviews, crafting a multi-tiered job search campaign for production. Lauren has worked with all. She leads career workshops in Chicago. She belongs to current employers. Next job. Please. Or Nate. Or digital art. Gains a relentless expeditions. After graduating from the media program at the University of Iowa, is lost hybrid. Hybrid. Actually, answer them. Word, especially in terms of and process. And his collaborative and performance groups in Chicago. His recent works teach team artists Lincoln are just a few. It's flexibility. Things. He's chair of the art and psychology. He now serves as interim director of began my college career in first 3 semesters. I jumped into the force. South Town. To a 20+ year career and one to job technology degree to tell service in 2016 I returned to University poster series posted award. Following graduation, I joined SX. She's member at current role as director, employer and service members. Along with it. So the value of a college education made first respond university it's just a college degree. Those strictly Western they start with your thoughts other great sharing the work or you work you want as part of your every part of your future. It's really fun to do a good job. And also And a lot of this joy comes in both the theater and the journalist. A lot of things really where I major are really unwind how I joy in the world, which are very separate from what I do for a job. For one, that there's comes with an enormous amount about building. There's something about like walking around in the hall or stumble on a conversation, how if you engage in that conversation, ideas, we will think just brings factors in conscious work is and work. But there's something about developing the confidence to really enjoy and pursue those full well that it might not be a job. These form what you do, inform what you do, personal. And above all, it's an opportunity to just look at a different type of future. And the job is one part of it. The job that I first 4 jobs I got on at college, did they college? We're studying jobs. I worked at the I then got a job teaching with people, got a job working. The thing that's even possible is they were interested, just genuine. Because that's where I can figure out what I do. And so now I'm teaching vacation and VR and like the idea that things should continue to evolve. Trusting are valuable to make a teacher, figure out what to do in a career. Here. The far major career, the driver, the career, on a careers. Most just for team themselves, marks or a young or young person's attention. Person's career.
We use where there, as long as that's what I try to do first is what is currently going one school grid is great. But I will also say I never discourage anyone from going back to school. Is there a way that you could work into that while you're getting an education program or whatever? So my approach is less from the education and more of so I always look at this as far as, okay, so at what point are you going to make that? Are you going to quit your job now? Go. Are you going to hang on to this job and why this job? And actually, that's one of the first things I try to deter because a lot of people are just burned out. I thought I need something different. I'm gonna figure out what why that's happening. Then I look back and see if there are patterns in this. Are you continually feeling burned out in the same position? And there are some changes. Are there changes that we can make within the job that you have here? Job. My exploration, my standpoint is usually more from the career.
store there's that are in there who are I don't that's what we encourage internships. That's for certain not too long, but no semester. So this finish yourself. Then was possible judge or professors. That's where
Then what did we talk about last time? And then last week, Mark and I especially talked about something very similar to what you're talking about, talking question. Remember what we called it?
instant.
And there was so that's actually one of Mark and I professionals. That's one of our tools. That's called informational interview. What James is talking about is going and talking to people who work in questions about what the industry is like, what their work, what makes someone succeed in this industry versus someone else. What makes someone, what character traits or strengths, etc. And that's absolutely one of that thing. When I hear someone who's talking about career transition for at any point, talk about what you're leaving as well as what you're looking at into, and we come up with some absolutely. So
Mark, you deeper dive. I could take this deep root berry to learn and there are no real barriers. A lot of times you can get to a career is to ask somebody who's old. And that is really, it should be the basic 101 to your education. You shouldn't go, I don't think, a year without having shadowed somebody in the Ivy. Yes, so you follow them around for 1 hour or for after. That's to be very informed, especially if you can catch them in moments where they're really working in their career and maybe dealing with some of the challenges that might be either interested in breaking the challenge or you would say, never mind. That's not, I'm not
for someone else.
I'll take the any class. Well, ultimately, I think what people do set you expect that I have to learn all these things, and then do I have to wait? That my son is a really good example. I didn't, but he started getting internships and jobs during first semester of school. He started connecting the dots, people and things to start to all these things. Now, it ended up being a dangerous big, but because it falls on hybridization, when learning that he was able to put in writing, this master, I will go into what they are, what are these, but all that to say that he took down all the barriers to what learning actually, where learning actually happened, because can now and then, once you start to remove legit and start to insert the mind, it's going to make a big what possibly, and a lot of what's going to create outside the classroom, more so than inside the class. Start to start out. Because really all the obstacle is in that there are jump off that first thing. A couple of years, 3 or 4 years, a couple of years to summarize a lot of this, of course, there are really ultimately for the day. I think that what you're trying to do, get your experience is learn how to learn, where to learn, and really But learning how to learn and learning how to communicate at many different or way or whatever it is, learning how to learn and learning how to figure out as many different ways to do those two things, then actually whatever you're in translates to your disciplines pretty easily. Those are the crosses that learning skills that for those who are here now, I don't just want to help this, with this idea is that you're setting up a relationship for yourself. Small conversations blocked with knowledgeable people in your career or this very high person who's just understand better what that's not what no things that walks up. You go into this with insurance for the personal assistant. You want to go into ready? Your share go in that direction. Or you'll on that's already touched on from our career coaches. What benefits
Being able to be more well-rounded gives you more of a global view. And when I say global view, I don't mean other person, as well as other people have conversations with people that you have, that you find out you've got more in common. It's a really wonderful thing. And in my bio, that my hobby is welding and career coach by day, and then on the weekends I go burns, and I have some of that because I get to have some conversations. Trust me, the conversations I have with coach are completely different than I am as a welder. Sometimes, because I do a lot of career coaching for some of the women's welding groups that I belong to, and there are different unions, such, and the conversations are really cool. But at the same time, I will say this. So I started welding about 7 years ago, and I've been doing career coaching professionally since 2001, but I did this kind of on my own when I was involved in a different career before that. I have solved just about every single problem a career coach can solve for, whether it's career transition, whether it's getting fired, whether it's whatever. It doesn't matter. Resume writing, interviewing. I have solved just about every single problem you can imagine. Then I started welding, and I tried to relearn that was difficult. There's a lot of math involved, and I'm not a math person at all. Where I started to realize I started solving my career coaching problems because I have this new perspective, and I started using different muscles and different areas of my brain than I've been using for the past 20 plus years. And so really been interesting progression as far as I approach problems differently and I find different solutions. And I would have had that. I don't think I on autopilot. I don't check out everything. Bring a problem to me, I solve it. No, I have a different dimension when I'm solving it. So to me, that's what it is.
I know Laura. We met one of
Yes.
she actually won my bit early on. Yeah, I did her both. She did it. But it reminded me of I have a trust in education. the career thing. Outside of that, one of the things I think I important, being able to recruit all your many muscles by effort. So, and in the college arena, that kind of jumps of life to you can't change information at rate information of life and career and kind of create your own. And so we go well with that all whatever your exposure has been, you've been able to invoke in one way. So you can have outcome to either find people or that you've been just people, whether it's for to make the world better and to be able to come out on top of the whole ecosystem to be able to create going forward. So really is not as hard and it's difficult. This just has many years. The more you learn, the more layers you get exposed to, the more you'll be able to again recruit all this muscles as many as possible to come out, make the world a better place, and also make that very well. I appreciate that. Several times I was trying to think what's covered that was you put that in a very different way. I think on a very different way of looking at things. I think that there's something really valuable about it. The more well-rounded you are, the more likely it is that you can in more conversations longer. And this is really important. Working perspective, the ability to actually, you walk into a place, group of people there, one thing deeply, you can go deep. It's always fun when you bump into somebody who knows something as much as you can really go down the rabbit hole and have fun there. But then you change the subject and, you can't. And you change. They really know one thing deeply, don't know very many things widely. I don't, this is what I love. As soon as that left art, that's all I do. That's all I know. The Hawkeyes would just be the Rose Bowl. And he worked at the University of Iowa. Can't even translate over to it. He's a slightly different subject. But the more well-rounded you are, the more conversations engage in. Therefore, says the more people you can talk to, which you can network with, the more people you can take some of their talents, make it with some of your talent, end up with some, or take some of that knowledge from them, some of the knowledge. Well, yeah, I don't think there's a real leader that people admire. Does recruit all the learning possible. It's just one of those things where learning is perpetual, not just don't learn and reach that. But in this world, no matter what your background, no matter what your working is, you're going to have to evolve. You have no choice. So the choices are evolve, then you'll eventually be able to create a pathway. Some fair, some slower, but that's okay. Just don't evolve. Then people will bother to look your way. So only people that are creating pathways are hanging up with the people who create pathways. Everybody else who's static stays static. The choice is yours. The whole wrapped on is that. So that when Vince was here, but that's what it is. And most of you and all of you are going to want to be people that are those opportunities and perpetual. What makes the best place to go from diversity on diversity? Found network. Why? You have start work. You put yourself for people. Networking is just working. We're not expecting who's here to have fun with content. We're such an integral part of. We got networking is more storage.
Yeah. I am an extrovert. I love to a room and saying, meet people. I took it, if I were on a reality show, I'd be the one saying, I make friends. I'm not here to make friends. I am. It's important. If you are going into network, I'll say this though, I've been a really, if anyone introvert and I don't say afraid of networking, but just, oh my gosh, it's not my thing. If you are put into a networking situation, let's say it's like person, you find the person who's most like me, the one who is chatting, shaking his hand, looking around for by the way, I'm looking for you. I'm looking for that person who's comfortable because I want to make you comfortable. So I'm gonna go over and up to, but you find the person who is most like me and say, to this, not really comfortable with networking. Can you introduce me to someone? Here's what I'm gonna do. Just something like that. I will take care of you. It becomes like my sworn duty almost as an extrovert, as the president of the extrovert club, that I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to introduce you to people, and then I'm going to leave because I want to hire, but I'm going to check back in. So if you are an introvert and you don't like networking, rely on people who do enjoy it and let us help you. More than happy to do. I tell this to all of my clients, and my clients are in every stage of career up until retirement. And they all come back and say, that work like a charm. I met the right people. I have the business cards, never was expecting to do that. And it worked. Find people like me because we want.
I find myself in a situation where, because I'm a first year student show up on first day. Of course, any of that could be a life collaborator. Worked together for years. We were in a gallery together. Did a variety of worked on a variety of projects. Somebody showed up in one of my classes. I've got friends who showed up in one of my classes. For years, you know what I mean? Because a network to me is your team of collaborators able to do bigger things with more people. I did spend a lot of time in theater. Fortunately, you have a one-man show where you write the before, you set the lights, and you invite the audience, posters, all that. That's much better way to do it is to get a whole team of people. The person who's great at posters, the person who's great in the market, great at lights to do the life, the person who's great at writing, show up, where you show up and sew, where you show up and do whatever you do, and you all work together to create this big. And that is, in my mind, the reason for that work is I am my oldest phone, and my phone is just priceless to everybody who I've ever worked with. Enough that I have a number. And now they're all, don't burn the bridges. It's there forever. They're there forever. Suddenly I'm just like, oh, somebody wants to vinyl record me. I know the person who done that. Just call them and say, hey, can you come and talk to my vinyl record me? That's possible because I just built that network to share that with everybody that's willing to share their network. And that's how it works. Do the big play, put the record out. I got told the other day by my friend Liliana, I'm bringing 5 bands and 5 painters. I've got to have you. Well, I haven't talked to Liliana in 6 years, and she's about and I'm like, oh, of course. And then when I explained to her that I'm teaching a lot that I come down and play the viola and work for your clients. It's just partnership. It's just collaboration. Waters, not the person, finds a person on purpose, more the person, Mark. So she shouldn't have my network. in order to know gather friends. It's just a matter of these are things you our network have in our network. When my network reaches use really for this to handle interests, frictions. That's all. I'm totally opposite. Well, but it's a little bit more complicated. I'm talking to more comfortable in front. You know, I would now, and I know there are people that don't like that. I can, much more. I do one-on-one coaching, and I feel like this is a baller, not literal, but this doesn't work. This dream, but doing or writing a whole lot better because I talk to just war. So I think that if you find out what energizes is what you're going to go with. So you might be more comfortable going a bigger part than to a smaller data part, which I still do both. Don't get me wrong, but I thrive in a bigger. I like looking at and at the energy. Find those kind of people. And a small one, I don't like people. And you only have one choice because you're in that group. That really, when I have a lot of choices, I'm good. But I think ultimately you find the energy that works for you and you go with it. But having that, you almost can't make the network really, or make your net work is without one-on-one. And before, as I was saying, shadowing people, asking questions. I think I mentioned last week, people love talking about this. Really? That's the reason why podcast, I video, because I just let people talk, no expectation. And somebody write what I call, but I love writing. That's what but that's very informative. That it's very important. Some people you can't real almost warm. Starting a podcast, not bad. Like there are podcast platforms which are automatically go out and get back. A lot of people we have done that. There were nobody. Great out. You can talk. You can speak. They're out. Don't put again. Put on what we do is bad, but medium how that makes only. Don't let anybody tell you what you to old point. A lot of shit is done for there's one purpose. Really curious about how she found the more we found we are with how are the strength. So one of
Okay. I'm open to any questions because again, love talking about this stuff, which is why I wish I got invited to more parties because I'm an extrovert. But every time I do, I turn it into a career development session. I'm a bummer at a party. So the software is called Applicant Tracking Software, ATS. Hear me say ATS, that's work right. ATS, a program that does many things, and it is. Typically does two things. He has an application, and he's also the keyword scanners. You've heard of keyword scanning programs or keyword scanners in general. Put this in. Like I said, there are thousands of things that it does on the back end, but then employers can. Some of them that you'll hear of frequently, there's Workday, there's Taleo. Taleo was purchased by Oracle years ago or for something like $1 billion. But that Oracle, then Taleo, number one for years. It was the number one ATS. And then during the pandemic, this little company called Workday comes on and knocks Taleo number one work, and which I just love. But what this means is you have to know Workday because not just it's a program, onboarding program. And so a lot of companies have this. You get hired through a company, you're onboarding through Workday. Your scheduling is going to be through Workday. Your days off, your PTO is going to be through Workday. You might get your benefits through Workday. Very good chance of completing your career. You're going to both have software pretty late for what it does. But one of the questions that I get from candidates all the time, why do I have to go into an application, type out every single thing about my career history if I'm just going to upload my resume? As one of the most frequent questions that I get asked about applying for jobs. And here's the answer. Your resume is always just your marketing. The application will that. So if all they have to do is upload your resume, you're not attesting to anything that makes them be legal and accurate and etc. So that's the reason I haven't applied for a lot of jobs yet. Trust me, in a year from now, saying, oh yeah, that's why that lady said that I have to do both because it's 2 different. Because trust me, just about the number one frustration of people who are looking for jobs and going through. It's important that your application and your resume pretty similar. Some of the things that can pick down of ATS. One of the frustrating things for me is that a lot of these things are choice, and they're not necessarily the wrong choice, but no one is saying what keeps that ATS format. You don't want any text boxes. You don't want any borders, like page borders, text box. Where people use tables on their resume, at the top, if they've got a list of core competencies or key skills, a lot of times the one that's organized, nicely and lined up. And so people put a table in. The back formatting on it, the full active force field keeps the ATS out of it. Okay. So for an easy analogy, ATS like a claw machine. You know, the claw machine animals where you drop a quarter in and it drops the claw down to try to pick up a prize and get a zippy little stuffed animal or whatever. Right the same way. So what this thing is doing as the claw machine, it's going into your resume and the resume part. It also works with the application, but right now into the resume, and it takes out specific sections. But ATS is so it can only always do what it's programmed to do. So it's going to go get your contact. Claw machine drops, get your contact in, drops any stuff. Go get your experience section, like anything like that. You're working with a format where infographic, where you've got charts, things like that, or the 2-column format that's a very common format for graphic people in the arts. Beautiful format. It doesn't work with ATS. A lot of times applicants don't even get it. Your job is to pass the program filters seen by the people. Foreign additional reverse chronological format always going to be best because that's how ATS works. Next, you want keywords. So you have to do a lot of research. keep in mind, a lot of people go to the job description that they're applying for and say, okay, I want the keywords out of this job description. There is no guide, law, sternly worded note requires any company to put the keywords they're looking for in their job description. So a lot of times, my clients will see a job description they want to apply for and say, how do we get keywords out of here? There are like 4. And we're looking for that. Okay, so what you want to do is not just look at that one job description. You want to pull up a lot of different job descriptions for the same type of job, but make sure that they're written by different companies, because this company is better at writing job descriptions. You get 3 or 4 of those, you're just increasing odds and be touching on all the keywords the employers are looking for. From there, then you can pull out a list. There's a sheet, which I've seen a lot lately with great success, and it's ChatGPT. So if you put a couple of job descriptions through ChatGPT, you say, and you have to ChatGPT is like a dog. It works better as a job. That's how you train dogs. That's how you train ChatGPT. So you tell Chat, you are my resume writer, or you are my recruiter, or you are my career coach, whatever your particular now is at that time. But so if I'm putting a couple of different job descriptions trying to pull out keywords, I would say, you are my resume writer. From these job descriptions, which keywords should I make sure to have on my resume? And then it's just going to go through and get typed in. Not always right, but better, more right than wrong, which I think about that in chat. Every function, but for this one, pretty well. I'm having good luck with it. So that's just one. There are also simulators. Some are free to use, some are paid subscription. One that I love called the Professional Dot. You put your resume in there and you upload a job description and it does the scanning for you and gives you a grade, a percentage. You have a 23%, you have a 43%. You are looking for about an 80% between keywords and your resume. Employers start looking at candidates who have a 75 to 80% match. If they're looking for more entry level, they'll drop down to 75. The more professional and the more skilled that these jobs have to be, they're looking at about 85%. So there's less leeway, less latitude the higher up on the ladder you get. So keywords are everything. The keywords to a resume writer is like salt to a shop. So as you are writing your resume, look out for those keywords. In job descriptions, another way to go and mention that I think that you're the biggest LinkedIn fan, but I am. One of the places that I go if I'm stuck for keywords is I'll go to a company who already do the job and look at your section. The skill section literally is the keyword. So there are a lot of different places you can go to get this information. Lastly, Google. Here's my extensive Boolean. So in a Google search, you would say resume keywords, resume keywords, or whatever it is, resume keywords, resume. And Google will actually pull out a link of the keywords for you to have. Plenty of places to get information and then incorporate it.
It really works just to have very defined a job searching before my resume regards be shot. By any screen software, it's only graph. I was inquiring to a job work correctly where I worked where I worked around screen, but I worked to try to look for where you're a professional or you're a professional in the part. Cool down keywords. It's creative. It's an background. Where do I use? I'm not coming.
There are a couple, actually, but here's the keyword. The research to figure out what jobs would be most similar for. That can be done through LinkedIn, through a really anti-Glassdoor right now. I think they've been doing over the past couple of weeks, but you can look at Glassdoor by just putting a couple of your keywords. Still, it's a cool guide, right? But what would be an actual skill you like on the job? Would it be mentoring? Would it be training? I'm not sure if ideation would be an actual, but with that creative, yeah, that's the thing. So then I would be program management or something like that. So quite frankly, the first thing I would do is put in to and go to their jobs portal and put in idea. I like to just what's out there. Who knows what's out there? So I go into the jobs portal link and the search function, put in ideation and see what comes. And at least some direction of where to go. Is it the right thing? Is it the wrong thing? Wrong thing. I'm going to try and just keep doing it. Because frankly, and I, for someone who's like creative and esoteric and I'm going to look at everything I've done, and think that's great. But if it comes to a keyword, for most companies, ATS used to only configure so affordable that a little 1% shop like ResuMayDay, I can afford it. Hiring people who want what they're looking for is easier. Every company can afford this. And hiring is always the most hated task of any company. No one likes to be in hiring task. They're dealing with a lot of people, they're dealing with more people who are unqualified for the job than who are qualified. Employers don't. Which is why ATS is so much more prevalent. I say. However, I will say this. Best career managers manage their careers are never so often. It's possible to yes, more than a brand. That and quite honestly, if I were looking for a job today, I know it enough so my resume would be squared away. However, I would be so hard into my networks. What do you know? What do you know? What can you tell me? Who's hiring? Here's what I'm looking for. And I'd be doing so that I would share up in a couple hours. I would have probably 20 companies just waiting for my resume because I've got other people that they talk to this person. She's like, let's bring her in for an interview so that they're just the ATM simply just waiting. Wish my resume. No.
That's really that I want. Regardless, serious. Figure out. You're just getting started and don't figure out. And go on. You build your network and you build those networks more sense. But for somebody with the network experience, well, it's more callback. Well, I appreciate that. Actually, love it pretty hard. Always. You can't get past, gotta find, but you can get resume yourself more visibility by that. And the ATS actually becomes a action screening, keeping you out. It's more, yeah, recruiters are going to tell you, look, why for people, why for try to make it rocket science a lot of time. Ultimately, the networking is going to give way to make sure that the pie give me top still a final one, but that person will hopefully know well enough to give at least if they're not going to keep records, they could admit it. that all more anything at all. It was really so this week I had they're covering us full of work. All the work's meant so daunting. Shoot us. How we work had like to structure very daunting for me. Feeling overwhelmed before to come direct out in my own work.
Yeah. Oh, hey. So you're writing your resume and your cover letter. The first one, yeah, it's the screener. It's the robot. One, don't forget the human. Very important. So good. So you actually have no one wants a big keyword check. You go on the keyword or verb, and you read well offer that happening. And it's true. So you always have to go back. But I'll tell you what, for cover letters, 3 simple paragraphs. That's it. 3 simple paragraphs. The first paragraph will you know and love about the company. Why you want to work there above other companies. Flatter them. Okay. Flattery gets you everywhere. Second, from you're going to solve their problems. Your skills to their problem. And you know what their problem is because it's based on the job that they're hired. Third, after the interview, tell them you're delighted to you and when everything works for them. Lauren Milligan or diatribe, right? They just 3 simple paragraphs. They can be short. Just
I appreciate it. You know, I had one thing about resume. The top of
yeah. So every employer knows what you're setting them to get a job, right? Summary. 20 plus years I've been writing resumes. I've never written it. And when you have an objective, like in a great company where you like this, not a lot. Sometimes a summary. Talk about what you love to in this particular role that you're going for. What is it about that role you love to do? Distinguish this. That's what your summary should distinguish it. 25 distinguishing you from other. So really talking about what you love to do in that job is a great way to distinguish yourself because who you have. Plus, it's probably going to wait.
thing to open the floor. Great. I always have ended that.
Is the reason for ATS, especially now, so many jobs are remote and global, and employers used to have these many candidates, which was impossible to handle by one person. Now they've got Motorola. When Motorola puts out one job ad, within moments they get thousands. There's no way a human ever go through that volume. Hence ATS because it can go to any number of volume in moment.
Or the whole career show, but that's just a coordinator. All work the work we talked about. Talked about streaming. This work. One.
Right.
clear message for careers. We want a career. Well, I, yeah. Here's the, and what are we doing right? The goal here, more, better understand.
And you're holy. Your instructors too, they may just not have, they may have been teaching here for a while, where they don't. I've got time in the front, and
ultimately, I think there really isn't for B to what's together. I always with every specialist the way that every industry evolves is change.
AI.
And to that note, one of my favorite things just here in summer, I started working with that woman and for years. But she reached out, she just we first started the idea, but it won't be possible until October. And something that I want to do with AI, I know the current that move, and it will be possible in October. Now let's work on October, then it'll be many disciplines. And to that matter, for everybody that are touching in their industries, again, it's the level of learning.
I'm like I said, it all stages of career, and so I'm plenty of people either retired early or got laid off or whatever happened, where they're in their 50s now, really literally now looking for their first job because they got their first job out of college and have to do a full-fledged job search, and they are just lost. A lot of them are just lost. They haven't been building a network. No idea what LinkedIn is. I've actually had people. I'll just say this: when Obama was president, older people that Obama was not tracking up through their LinkedIn. I had something both of them. Wasn't just high school. I didn't go I am for there. You know, an October.
Right now, the technology.
Well,
Yes, and that's a one lesson it really is how people adapt world as opposed to quoted or very slow to adapt, but get out a lot quicker, faster, a lot. It's just a no-brainer for them, not based on a lot of people. So all that. There, the question you're just over.
yeah, so instructors want to instruct you on the academic digital doesn't mean that they know. I will say this: job searches have really been quite static for decades up until the 2000s. The job search that people were having in their 1960s was not all that different for running technology happened. Now I tell people the job search that you're going to be performing today looks nothing like the job search that people were doing 5 years ago. Because technology, the way that we get with people, the way the jobs that are being created don't exist out there's a very maybe the third job that you have out of college does not exist.
And great point. Going jobs by change practice. And it's not particularly that important. Look for a game. Look for presentation, how you all in pictures
Tools.
and there's nothing that you that all the world because it's forward. What may be relevant back in 2020 may not as relevant right now. So I would say you gotta like one and the attitude to work. And even though there might be some careers that might landmine, but nursing remote not as we're living wanted. Yeah, look, not, but look what's you guys getting into start to now connect people and see what people like. So, especially on Warren Tucker on start on cool change. Road is changing. And live anywhere in the world. Gosh, less road change, goes change. Stop. That nowhere. It's just the house. So we're almost overnight. It was water forms change.
Sure.
Um, so what person
Want to have a new resume?
always went like that. So I work and we just college degree. 400 so one a lot of colleges their career fairs. Yeah, that's closed classes. I would and I would have gone to class. They're more now more selective. Initially, employers did doors, and now it's where the foot was, the success where it's What's your goal? I put some research. Just try more. There. You when you're like, I love what you guys are about. I really didn't understand what you're and they're gonna be well in your tool and more put in your so I'm like reach out to I love that are so state. It were still wish you first. Oh, and Joel, because this was one of the most important ways we really need to we're coming on this year. It's one show, everything and everyone that the next show, and then it's not you only have 3 more weeks to learn. Ever. You know what I mean? It's just figure out what you can right now, learn from that experience, figure out what you figure out what you need. You will spend the rest of that curiosity. Take the opportunity.
Welding in my 40s. So.
There's still some. You think really talk to they get to their band, especially when people pull errors more well. Oh. So much for we're absolutely by podcasting call John Ball and then no Barry. The reason for me being called where components whole wholehearted, really grateful for your with your and just that's great. Thanks, Dan. Here's QR code. Just we're forward face. All right. Appreciate all of you. Not just so much. I love it. It goes. Oh, or I would say I was just watch that. I
Um,
did
so I
Or
trying
better with range colors and talk
to jobs requests.
done.
Little known about jobs requests.